Prime Minister Keir Starmer has just this morning announced changes to migration rules to try and reduce the number of people coming to the UK.
Every area of the immigration system, work, family and study, will be tightened up so we have more control. Now, in a diverse nation like ours, and I celebrate that, these rules become even more important. Without them, we risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together. But when people come to our country, they should also commit to integration, to learning our language. And our system should actively distinguish between those that do and those that don't.
So the various measures include skilled worker visas will require a university degree. Migrants will have to wait 10 years to apply to settle in the UK instead of automatically gaining settled status after 5 years as it stands. English language requirements will be increased from GCSE standard to A-level standard. For the first time, adult dependents will also be required to show basic language skills to help them integrate, find jobs and avoid exploitation. And new measures could reduce inflows of immigrants by around 100,000 a year. There was one aspect of all of this, I think, though, Jane, that wasn't focused on, which I think a lot of people will be asking the question about, and that's the issue with the small boats coming across the channel. And that's where we stand, I think, now. That's the questions off the back of this big press conference this morning.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it, really. It doesn't address... I think when anybody talks about the issues, and particularly, I think, why reform is doing so well, which is obviously probably what's prompted this, is because people are worried about the people coming into the country where we don't know who they are. I think the legal migration isn't so much of an issue. You know who they are, you know what they're bringing to the country. And I think it's about anything. I think if you're invested in life in this country, so if you're living here, your kids maybe go to school, you use the NHS, you pay your way, I don't think anybody's got an issue with where you come from. But it's when the people that come over here who we don't know who they are, they're not allowed to work, so of course they become a financial drain, and that still remains unanswered. Yeah, and I mean, for anybody watching, that it's quite confusing. He's talking about net migration. So that is the people who have left the country deducted from the people coming into the country. So if you say, for example, so the year up to June 2024, 1.2 million people arrived in the UK, 479,000 left. So the net migration figure then would have been like 728,000. So these are the numbers that he's talking about and talking about bringing down. But, yeah, I don't necessarily think that's what people are particularly concerned about. It is the small boats crisis, and that still is not being addressed. And, the Tories were terrible on this as well, but for him to sort of go on about the Tories, actually uncontrolled migration started under New Labour and Tony Blair, and then the Tories failed to get to grips with it. So he's conveniently forgetting that part. And for me now, I want them all to stop being political about it. I think there should be sort of almost like a royal commission, like from every single party, people from different walks of life, all sitting at the table and addressing this problem. I think we're way past the politics of it.
Yeah. I think I'm second-generation immigrant into the country, and so I was born here. But, my grandfather, he came into the country, was welcomed as part of Windrush, and my uncle and his brother, and they built... My uncle helped to build the NHS, and my grandfather was in the steel industry, and at a time where, the UK really needed to be rebuilt as a country. And we came as a family and we contributed. And I think that's exactly what immigration should be about. Yeah. You come, you contribute. And we've made those massive changes to those two massive organisations. I think the disappointing thing for all of us is that the issue that we wanted addressed wasn't. And you draw all this attention by saying, coming to you live, we're making this huge, big statement about it, rather than it just sliding in as another piece of white paper, we make this big, you know, we're going to be making this statement at this time, getting everybody prepped. And then he just deflates it because we're all expecting the answer to the question that we want answered, which is, what are we doing about small boats? Did he address it? No. So, frustrating.
Yeah. The problem is, it's not an easy question to answer. That's the issue, isn't it? Like you say, though.
But they've had
you know,
14 years to think about it.
There's been a long time. Yeah, absolutely, exactly. Were you expecting anything different this morning, Brenda?
No, I was just expecting a bit more clarity and jumping on to the immigrants that are here and have worked and have helped to build up the economy and not addressing the illegal side of things. It just kind of makes me think that they don't know what to do about it or how to solve it.
Yeah, interesting. There was, as you say, it was 8:30. It was a big deal this morning, wasn't it?
Yes.